Nice one, Hasbro. Instead of fixing a design flaw, you put a plastic tie to hide it. Hi there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Vintage Collection R2-SHW Antoc Merrick's droid from Rogue One. Now, before we get onto the negatives of this figure, because there are a few negatives that I do want to cover in this video, I do want to just quickly talk about the positives. And the main positive about this figure is that we've got this figure. We've actually got it. So they've actually gone out of their way and produced it. Now, admittedly, it should have come with the X-Wing, really, and then this guy should have been like a mainline release or something. He would have sold perfectly well, in my opinion, in the mainline. Lots of people want Antoc Merrick, but don't want the X-Wing, and they want him on card and things like that. I get that question all of the time. Tim, will Antoc Merrick on that card back be released outside of the X-Wing? And history tells us that the figures that come packed in with these vehicles don't tend to be like reissued outside of it unless they weren't on a card back in the first place, like the Klatooinian Raider. So the positive is that we do have the figure. Now, there is some negatives to talk about as well, as I mentioned, but first of all, let's just take a look at the card back. So the card back here is a picture of the droid in the back of the X-Wing there, really close up. Now, you never actually got this shot in the film Rogue One. We only ever actually saw the droid from behind for about a second on screen. That's the only time that you saw him, and you could just about make out that he did indeed have a red body and a head that's very similar to R2-D2. So at that point, that droid did not have a name, so it looks like Hasbro have worked with Lucasfilm to come up with a name for this droid, and they've come up with R2-SHW. And you can see there in the name pill it says Antoc Merrick's droid. So that's the card back. It's one of those, it's completely photoshopped because that shot does not exist in the film, and you can see the Scarif Beach just behind. He looks pretty good there in that bubble against that yellow panel. And on the back of the card, he is VC 260, and there you can see some of the other figures that we're getting very, very soon, hopefully. So this wave with Luke and Cal Kestis, the Artillery Trooper, the two Andor figures and the Klatooinian Raider. That is the next wave, and hopefully we'll be getting that pretty soon. Apart from that, there's nothing really else to talk about the card back. So it's a case of getting the figure out, checking him out, putting him in the little slot, and then talking about the negatives of this particular mold of Astromech droid. And before we take a look at the figure, I just want to thank Bantha Skull for the use of their awesome image in my thumbnail. They've got him set up with a few of the other characters, and they always do an awesome job of, when they review a figure on their website, they always like create the scene of all the other figures from various lines throughout the years. They do an awesome job, so make sure you head over to their website and check their review out and check their website out in general, because it is awesome. So here is the figure. Now, this is the thing that I was talking about in the intro of the video. We've got this piece of plastic here, which is going to be holding this little door in place, because when we take this off, if I can just get it off, that took longer than it should have done, but okay, so I've got that piece of plastic that was holding this door or panel closed, basically, because what they don't want is it opening up and rattling around in the packaging, because this is a major design flaw about this particular mold of R2 unit. Once you open this door, you've got his little sort of arm thing which comes out in there, his little tool, but you know, once you've opened that, try getting it to stay closed is a nightmare. It just doesn't want to do it. And that is a major design flaw for me on this figure. This is the figure that they used for VC25, I think it is, the R2-D2 with all the bar equipment from the barge. They also repainted it for the Droids version that we got this year, and then they used it again for this one, which is really disappointing. I think many people out there wished that they had used this one, which is a far superior sculpt of the Astromech droids, basically. The other problem with this one is that when you push the leg up, the periscope comes up, which is, you know, this droid, you never see him do that, so why do you need that? And then to get that back in again, you really have to push that back in, and then obviously that means the leg is stuck out the whole time. So, you know, it's not the greatest of molds or sculpts of an Astromech. There could be better. They could have used a better one, and this one really shouldn't be used again, basically. And you can see there that that little door or panel is open, and you're never going to sort of keep that closed. Highly, highly annoying. All right, so let's just plonk him next to Antoc Merrick. Awesome. You know, that's why we wanted this figure, basically so we can display them together. Fantastic. We've now got the complete scene. We've got the X-Wing, we've got Antoc Merrick, and we've got the droid, which is brilliant. So now let's attempt to put him in his little slot on the back of the X-Wing. So let's do that now. Now, I know a few people have complained that this droid mould is too small for the X-Wing, and essentially he rattles around in it and what have you. Now, my one seems to be not too bad. I can see what they're saying, but you can see there he rattles around in it a bit too much. It's not really a snug fit, and I reckon if you turned over the X-Wing, he would probably fall out. So, not the best design for this X-Wing. However, if you use this droid here, which is the, what is it, VC149, I think it is now, this R2 unit here, the R2-D2, he has a lot more of a snugger fit. He doesn't rattle around half as much. And I would imagine if you were to turn it upside down, he wouldn't fall out. So if we just, yeah, it's a bit more of a struggle to pull him out of that slot. So that is the negatives about this droid. They really shouldn't have used this mould because look at that. You've got this door wide open. You've got the problem with the periscope. You can never get rid of that center leg because when you push it up, it pushes the periscope out. So that is just, you know, not good at all. But there he is inside the X-Wing, or in the back of the X-Wing there. And of course, then you could have Antoc Merrick piloting it. So there you go then, guys. That is my review of the R2-SHW. As I said before, it's great to have him in the line, but it's just the execution once again. Why couldn't they have just used this mould? It would have made everybody happy. And, you know, the flaws of this mould are just so dated. And all of the extra features that this mould gives you with the periscope and the opening thing on the front of his body, his little tools that he has inside him, we don't need them for this particular R2. So there you go then, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You know, with all that being said, it's still cool to have him there, you know, just from a display point of view, to have him next to Antoc Merrick. So there you go then, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we shall see you on the next one.